I'm about to tell you a story about a UFO. I can't show you a video of this UFO because this happened many years ago, 1967. Not that we didn't have moving cameras back then, even though it was a long time ago. We didn't have one with us. My cousin in Forrest and I are the ones that saw this UFO. It scared him so bad that he would never talk about it. Just to set you the setting of what happened and how it happened, I'll just have to do it vocally. We happened to have an ice storm in central Mississippi where all of the roads were covered with ice. All the trees were covered with ice. And traffic was at a complete standstill. I belonged to a hunting club, and I had bought 2 July Walker hounds. Now you probably don't know what that is, but that's got nothing to do with the UFO. What I'm about to tell you is the truth. The whole truth, nothing but the truth. If you want to believe it, that's fine. If you don't want to believe it, that's up to you. At any rate, I had these 2 dogs that I had to leave on the hunting camp about 15 miles out in the country from a very small town to start with, the little town of Yazoo City, Mississippi. I had plenty of water for them, but I had to take them some feed, so I'd take a 50-pound sack of feed out there and put in the feeder trough. They had a nice house to live in with hay and everything. They were very comfortable. They were not lonesome. There was 2 of them. In fact, they liked the place. But I had to have a dog house and pen built in town where I lived before I could move them. At any rate, my Jeep was broke down. But my cousin Forrest had a Jeep pickup, about a 1947 model, made more noise than a jet airplane. So I asked him if he would take me out to my dogs, that I had to take some food out there. He said, sure, I'll be glad to. So he brought his old pickup over. I had the food, and we left Yazoo City, Mississippi, going out Highway 49 towards Rolling Fork and Belzona and that area, Holly Bluff. And we got out about 9-10 miles. Now you must understand, there is no traffic. I'm not going to say that only fools would be out on this road, but I had to feed those dogs, and this was a 4-wheel drive with very heavy mud grips. So we were really not in any danger. There was no other traffic. About 10, maybe 11 miles out, we see a light coming towards us. I'm thinking, my goodness, here's another car. Would you believe this? Well, it wasn't a car. We thought it was a helicopter, and it passed on the driver's side, which would have been over to the left of where Forrest was driving his pickup, and it was just barely above treetop height. And Mississippi has large trees, so it was just barely maybe 15, 20, 30 feet above the trees. And we both said, my goodness, what in the world would a helicopter be doing out here in this kind of weather, this far away from a big city? There were no helicopters in central Mississippi at that time. None of the hospitals had a helicopter at that time in 1967. So we just didn't think much about it. It went on, and so we went on. And pretty soon the thing passed us again, coming back from the direction it had gone to, and passed us by again, going the same direction we are at this time. And it was about the same height, and it was not traveling that fast. We were probably doing 20, maybe, on that icy road, 20 or 25. It wasn't doing over 40 or 50. And we still thought it was a helicopter. It had, all we could see was just a white light. There were no red, green, blue, any other color light. Just a white light. And this white light was so close to us we could see how big it was. The white light itself was about the size of the average bedroom, about 12 by 14. Now, it stood a little taller than it was wide. We still thought it was a helicopter. So we got on out about 15 miles to where we had to turn off the road to go out to the hunting camp. And it was a couple, 3 miles off of the blacktop road. So we turned off and went out to the hunting camp, and I started feeding the dogs. My cousin Forrest was out of the truck and was standing over there, and he said, "Hey Ross, there's that thing again, there's that helicopter." And we looked up in the sky at an elevation of about 45 degrees above the trees. Looked like it was above the trees by maybe 300 or 400 yards. It wasn't very high off the ground. It was a very bright light, and it was sitting still. And now you must understand, with this ice storm, there was no noise whatsoever. By this time, our Jeep motor had stopped, and we could hear very easily. There was no noise. It was sitting motionless in the sky, probably 600 or 700 yards away from us. Now, 600 or 700 yards is not that far. That's about six football fields long for people who can't understand exactly what 600 or 700 yards is. And it was sitting motionless without moving, the same white light. And Forrest said, "There's that thing again." He said, "That thing is not making any noise." And I thought to myself, I said, "It's sure not." I said, "What could it be?" He said, "I don't know." And we stood there and watched it, and it started descending, going down to the ground. Over the edge of those trees, if I can put this in your mind's eye of exactly how it was about a quarter of a mile through the trees, 600, 700, maybe 800 yards, something like that, 5,280 feet in a mile. You can figure it out. There was a new field that had been cut out of the woods, which was nothing but mostly oak and elm and that type of stuff. And they cut this up to make a new soybean field, 644 acres to be exact, one section. And as it descended very slowly, we watched it disappear behind the trees. I said, "Forrest, we have to go there and see what that thing is." And he said, no, I'm not going." I said, "Well, let me have the keys. I'm going over to see what it is." Because there was a little logging trail that ran through those woods where you could drive up to the edge of that cleared up ground. He said, no. I said, "Let me have the keys." He said, "No, if you go over there, you won't come back." I said, "Sure I will. I'll come back. I'm just going to the edge of the woods and just look out there in the field." Now you must understand, this is in the delta of the state of Mississippi. The ground and area is flat as a pancake. If I drove to the edge of those woods, there would be nothing to impair me from seeing exactly what it was out in the field. But he would not give me the keys. So I had no other choice but to, I thought about maybe walking over there. That was just too much, as cold as it was, and trying to go through those icy roads, stumbling around in the dark. And so anyway, we went on back home, and we talked about it. And as the years have gone by, Forrest has passed away now, and he had a stroke and died. But all those years later, for 30 years, he would never talk about that unless he was around me. We would talk about it sometimes, but he wouldn't talk about it to anybody else. He just, I don't know why, it just made him afraid. And what I've told you is the truth. What I saw was an unidentified flying object. And I can assure you that it was not of earthly origin. That is my story as I saw it, and I haven't forgotten not the first moment of it. Thank you. Goodbye.